Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Inheritor back again with another replay analysis. This is for Stormz, rank plat 3 doubles. I'm assuming is wanting me to look at better rotation, which is all a part of positioning as well. So before I get into the video, I will say that I do have a video on positioning and rotation. So make sure you go check that out. I'll drop a link for that down in the description below. And I'll throw it in the cards somewhere for easier access as well. That being said, let's get into the replay analysis. You are solo queue, I see. Okay. That's pretty unfortunate. I don't know why your teammate didn't go. So with since he missed, your best choice would have been to try to get the nose of your car to hit it to the corner, probably the right corner in your instance, based off of where you positioned. That way this didn't happen. Overall, that really wasn't your fault necessarily. Both are at fault there. But just in instances like that, just make sure you're trying to hit it to the corner. Okay. I was going to comment on you following right behind him, but you adjusted as I was about to say something. This is really dangerous. You were in a good position here. I wouldn't have pushed any closer. And I would have checked to make sure I knew where the other opponent was. Because what you're looking at, you can't see them. So you going for this as they're zooming in now puts both of you on their half of the field with no boost. Luckily, your teammate recovered, even though they didn't get a touch. Good job not going for boost and just putting yourself in net. Good try. Instead of a single jump aerial, do a double jump aerial. That'll get you up in the air faster, and also you'll use less boost. You probably would have had an angle to actually get that in. I would have, instead of doing this, I would have lightly, and note that I emphasize lightly towards your teammate, or even just towards that back corner. Instead of trying to get a 50 there. That way you're keeping ball possession and you don't have to have that 50. I would have checked here when you turned around, because you're stuck in ball cam right now and you can't see jack. You can hardly even see the opponent's nameplate on the bottom left. So this is where I would quickly tap my ball cam button, check to see where my teammate is, and if they're coming for it, then that's when you decide whether or not you're going to go for it or not. Because this, since you were there and you went for it while your teammate did, it just popped up in the air rather than it getting cleared out. Here, not necessarily a bad challenge attempt. However, you can see here that the opponent has already jumped. So odds are they were going to flip into it like they did here, which you were not reading them based off of what I'm looking at. So it just went right past you. So just make sure you're trying really hard to predict and read your opponent. That's a very important skill to have in this game. Your positioning here is not great. You'll notice if you watch that positioning and rotation video that I made, you'll see a segment that talks about the quarters of the field and where you should be positioned in comparison to your teammate. Okay, I didn't mean to go back. Right here. You are both right next to each other, and you don't need to be. At least both of you didn't go for it. However, I would not place myself next to my teammate like that. I would have... That's a really tough situation because they're in the middle of a field. I would have gone back a bit. I would have scooted back if they got some insane clear that somehow pinched towards your net or something like that. You would have been prepared for it. And this is another one of those situations, like you backflipped into the ball, and that just gave away ball possession. This is another one of those situations where I would try to take it back towards the net, or not the net, your corner boost, and would have avoided shots on your net like that. Worked out in your favor. A good job not running away from the play because you had no boost as well. I wanted to make a comment on this touch here too. It's a really awkward position. Your best bet would have been to wait for the ball to bounce and just touch it with the nose of your car as it touches the ground. It probably would have rolled up the wall and you could have gone for a pass off the wall, or the backboard rather than just kind of tapping it lightly against the wall. Gave away ball possession that way. So this here, this is actually cutting off your teammate. And then you went for the boost, so now you're both in the same area on the field again. It's a common thing that I've seen so far. You want to make sure you're really careful and that you know where everyone is on the field at all times. Or at least most of the time, rather. Your teammate probably could have scored this, but it works. Just be a little bit more careful in times like that, because your teammate did have control of the ball. Your teammate was coming for the ball. You didn't need to turn on this. Good positioning. And take it back. That's good. So, you couldn't see where the opponents were. Your best bet here would have been to, instead of popping it, try to stall just another second until it's about to touch your car again, and then do a flick, or a flip rather. That way it would have flicked it towards the backboard rather than just kind of popping it in the air where they can get to it. Yeah, that's rough. So with this clear right here, you saved it, which is good. But you want to try to get... You jumped a little early. So instead of jumping that early, if you had waited just a little longer... Actually, you didn't even really have to jump because it was rolling. So you could have just drove into it and it would have gone up into the air, which would have been hard for either of them to get, rather than flipping into it. You did put it into the corner, which is good. Unfortunate situation there. I probably wouldn't have turned on that, just knowing that you probably were gonna get beat to it, and your teammate got bumped there, and just a series of unfortunate events. Nice kickoff and good follow. Odds are your teammate wasn't going to be there for that. Probably didn't need to turn on that, but that works in your favor. So always make sure you're always make sure you know where your teammate is. I know I said that once already, but that's a very important thing to know. So you have no boost, and you decided to lightly tap it and go grab boost. This is throwing away ball possession. This is another one of those situations where either you keep following the ball with no boost, or you can, instead of going this way, the way you are right now to the ball, go around the opposite direction, control the ball back towards mid, grab that mid boost, and then decide what you're going to do with the play, rather than just throwing away the ball to the opponents. Got to be careful with the corner challenges. Sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't, but this one in particular, he was just so much closer to the ball. Probably wouldn't have challenged that. Not sure what your teammate's doing there. Another thing to note here is that your teammate is already driving towards the ball. They're not doing anything. They probably have zero boost, if I were to guess. However, they're still following the ball, so you need to make sure you're really careful about that, because it, well, at that period of time, you were both in the same spot on the field again, and that's very dangerous. Just be very careful about that. Good try controlling the ball. So when I was talking about that clear earlier, where when you flipped into the ball and put it into the corner, this is what your teammate does here is exactly what I was talking about. They just drove into it. They didn't jump, they just drove into it. It popped up in the air, and there was really nothing they could do about it. So that's kind of what I was talking about in that that save earlier. Good job keeping your distance from the play. That would have been a good time to challenge when you decided to turn on that. Of course, you went into OT, so. Thank you for following the ball. Once again, not going for boost. Good job. Grab their corner. Oh, you missed it. That's unfortunate. Would have worked out nicely. So after it bounces here, you kind of just kept driving forward. If you had jumped right here, and used a little bit of air roll and flipped into that ball. So if you air rolled your car towards this part of the ball, so your car would have been like angled, like instead of being here when you do a front flip into the ball, you turn it this way, you do a front flip into the ball, you're going to get that angle on it. So that would have put it in towards the top left-ish area of the net if you got the right hit on the ball, of course. But here you kept driving forward and put yourself really underneath the ball, and the only thing you really could have done to get a good touch here is actually double jump into the ball, like you were going to do a double jump aerial, instead of trying to flip into it where you just kind of plopped it in front of them. It's good positioning right there. Good job turning back. Nice challenge. I was waiting to see what was going to happen with the play. You got really close to your teammate here again. He was trying to pass there, I think. Overall, just kind of awkward, but you were very close to him, so you want to make sure you're a little more spaced out than that. So with this right here, one thing to note is your teammate is back in net. You didn't need to go for this, so now that you both went for it, it left you with no boost in net. Of course, it's not an issue in this particular instance, but it could cause problems in a different game. Want to make sure you know whether or not your teammate's going, but you don't want to play super hesitant either, because you could end up in situations where neither one of you end up going when you should be. That just comes with playing over time. Well, okay then. So, biggest thing that I noticed positioning wise is 90% of the time you were right next to your, well, not 90% of the time, but when I made comments throughout the replay, those instances you were pretty much right next to your teammate, and you never want to be right next to your teammate. Once again, I will have the link to that positioning video down in the description below, and somewhere in the video there will be a card that'll tell you that will link you to that video as well. Other than that, I hope this video helps you out, man. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. And yeah, good luck with your future games. See you on the field someday. Deuces.